This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a topic. And what are we actually doing this week?
Benjamin, this week on The Gorge, you and I are talking about... Hold on, I need to get ready for this. Yeah, that's better. We're talking about The Quiet Man for the PC and the PS4. Oh boy.
This is,
a train wreck?
People have been talking about this game, and they have been calling it the room of video games. And
yeah.
I think that is an apt description, because the thing that makes the room so bad is not just the fact that, it's poorly written, it's got weird direction. Mm-hmm. But part of the reason the room is so, notorious is that there's so much incompetence, mm-hmm. and yet there's so much, money and, resources thrown behind it.
Yeah.
And you still end up with a product that looks like this. The one thing... You and I watched Best of the Worst. We know what a bad movie looks like.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So, the room doesn't look like a traditional bad movie. It's only when you watch it and you realize how bad it is. It's the same thing with The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man has so much, money behind it just in the form of its publisher. And yet, despite that, it came out as just a huge pile of garbage. This is a game, by the way, the publisher is Square Enix.
Square Enix!
Square Enix! The guys who make, I guess they presumably make video games.
Yeah.
We don't know anymore.
Yeah, they made the guys behind Final Fantasy, behind Kingdom Hearts, and even if you look at the other games that they've published, not the ones they developed, they published, because they also published Deus Ex, right?
Right, they published Deus Ex, they published Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, Tomb Raider I can say a lot about, but, it's still a competently put-together video game. It might be boring, but it's still... It functions like a video game would.
It is a functioning video game, and it's barest essential. It is a functioning video game.
Yeah, the reason why Shadow of the Tomb Raider is not liked is more of a matter of just general taste and opinion of quality. Whereas this game, this thing,
where do you even start? Where do we start with The Quiet Man? First and foremost, don't buy The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
However, watch The Quiet Man as it was released.
Someone has put an LP out somewhere. You can track it down. I'm certain. I'm sure.
Watch The Quiet Man. It is awful, but it is awful in a way that must be experienced. You have to. You've gotta.
It really is like The Room, because it's just a core misunderstanding of what makes that particular medium interesting.
100%.
How you tell a story. It's got all of the parts, mm-hmm. but none of those parts actually function the way they should.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost amazing, in its badness, honestly. Yeah.
It's like if you took a Lego set and you just dumped the pieces on the floor and you threw the instruction manual away and you tried to put it together based on what you thought when you looked the box for a minute.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll get some of the parts in the right place, but it's not going to work right.
It's not going to work right. It's not going to look right. It is mostly I guess it's functional. It never crashed.
No, it didn't crash.
So it's got that over Fallout 76.
We didn't get any major game-breaking bugs, not something didn't load properly.
Right.
There are bugs that I'm going to delight in talking about.
Oh yeah. But everything nothing failed to trigger You know, like, we didn't get stuck in a room or anything like that. The textures, there was bad texture pop in, but they eventually loaded. You know, stuff like that. But
so it functions as a product that follows, like, the very basic core tenets of what you'd expect from, like, an action game.
Yeah.
But it's almost, like, incomprehensible in how bad of a job it does in, like, and it's in like, presenting itself.
Yeah, oh god. Every single aspect of The Quiet Man is just shockingly mishandled at nearly every turn.
And it even to top it all off, just like The Room, it tries to be artistic and even fails at being artistic with, like, with its weird, like, meta twist, you know?
Oh god, yeah. It's god.
Everything from really weirdly good visual, like, quality and, like, professionalism and, like, setting and stuff, from characters who are wholly unlikable. Completely unlikable.
Oh god, yeah.
From weird transitions that are just shots of, like, aerial shots of the city.
Yeah.
And dialogue that makes zero sense, motivation that makes zero sense. This straight up is just The Room of video games.
It's The Room of video games, and that is why, like, first and foremost, you have to experience it.
Yeah.
Do, like, both runs. Like, watch the first and then watch the New Game Plus, and just, like, experience this. Sit down with some friends and watch it. It is 3 hours long. It's like, maybe.
This game is technically, I would say, 5 hours long, because you need to beat it twice to get the full story.
Right, yeah, that's fair.
And each run is about 2.5 hours. Like, you can knock it out in 2.5 hours. Like, you can do this instead of watching a movie with your friends.
Yeah. Watch it with some friends, get some beers, like what I'm drinking now. Like, get some beers and some pizza, and have yourself a good old-fashioned MST3K, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just, like, make fun of it at every turn, and then watch it again, and delight in how utterly nonsensical it still is. Because, boy, The Quiet Man must be experienced in all of its badness for you to really appreciate it, I think.
If you do happen to find one person who has it, it wouldn't hurt to put your hands on it just so you can tell, like...
So you know how bad it is, because, boy...
Right. It's... Okay, so let's... You know what? Let's begin with the gameplay, because that's simple enough that we can crack that one out.
Because the way this all started is that... I was like, let's play The Quiet Man, because I haven't had a chance to play The Missing yet, and I was like, let's play The Quiet Man. I heard it's horrible. I feel like it'd be fun to have, like, a bad game on the Gorge again, because it's been a while, because usually we're very, we usually do a lot of praise, and the deal is that I was like, Ben, you made me play Detroit. You made me play Detroit. So you have to play The Quiet Man. And having now watched you play The Quiet Man and I played Detroit, I feel like you got the rawer deal of the two of us. I think you got the rawer deal of the two of us.
I would say so as well, because at least when you press the button in Detroit, like, something would happen.
And like...
Nobody
was phasing through walls in Detroit. You weren't, like, passing through enemies and stuff like that, you know?
When you did an action sequence in Detroit, you were never like, what does the game want me to do with this material?
I don't know what this input does. Like, for all of Detroit's myriad flaws, the one good thing it has going for it is that because it is just a glorified QTE sequence, like, you know what every single button press does.
Yeah.
In The Quiet Man, it feels like a fucking gamble.
Okay, so... And the thing about this is that I've come off of playing... I'm playing Kingdom Hearts on stream.
Yes.
We just went through Devil May Cry 1, 3, and 4.
Yes.
And I'm on and off playing Yakuza 0. So, like, I'm playing a lot of action games recently, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess you would count The Quiet Man as an action game, even though you only play it for maybe a third of the time the game is running.
It is a beat 'em up, technically.
It's kind of a beat 'em up. It's
kind of a brawler.
The biggest point about it, like right off the bat, the critical flaw is, again, you only play it for about a third of the time, and you're not playing an RPG. It's ostensibly an action game, like a beat 'em up.
Yep.
And you're barely playing it.
Yeah.
Like, there are huge stretches of cutscenes and no gameplay, and this is not a Kojima product. You don't get to do that. You're not a Kojima.
You're not a Kojima. Your cutscene direction is barely a step above daytime soap opera.
Yeah. So when you get your hands on it, the game also, for one thing, offers no tutorial. Not even like a bare bones, like, how to play, like, here's what each button does, here's how you use it in each situation, you know? Mm-hmm. And, games like Devil May Cry don't offer that as well, you know? Like, you're not given, like, a chance to really explore your moveset in Devil May Cry, like, in a tutorial sense, but you are presented with a lot of things that are like, well, here's an enemy that you can try this on. And
right, yeah.
You can practice and kind of like get a feel for, oh, well, here's how dodging feels. Here's how you activate this. Here's how you can pull off this move.
Right.
The Quiet Man gives you nothing but this weird menu where you can you press a button, like you press stop pause and you go to the controls. You press a button on the controller and it shows this flashing, like, blinking LED, like neon like open sign or like welcome sign.
In its defense, those do look really cool.
It's a cool visual aid. It's a really cool visual aid. Yeah, to be fair, that's a really neat, I've never seen anything like that. That's really cool. But it's not very descriptive as to what you're doing. Like, okay, I can see this button. He's doing a punch. Okay, this button, he's doing a kick. And he's doing a grab in this one. Then you press a button and he does a Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan power-up. There's no indication of what that does.
Yeah, no, it does not tell you what. And the deal is that, like, here's what boggles me the most. Is that, like... The linchpin of The Quiet Man is that the protagonist is deaf, right? So there's no sound. We haven't even gotten to that part yet. We've talked about its badness. But there's no sound. So, like, he's deaf. So, but the deal is that deaf people can still read.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to represent like a character's deafness, then, like, I don't know. I guess the fact that there's no sound in the game is a good representation of that. But, like, taking all of the words out of the menu that could possibly explain things to you. Deaf people read. You guys do know that, right?
The other weird thing is that, like, to start the game, like the start playing the game button on the main menu is a play button like you'd see on like a DVD player or a remote. Yeah. Like it's the triangle facing to the right.
Yeah.
Which is normally used for like a cutscene viewer.
Yeah, which technically we did play a cutscene viewer. My dude,
yeah, but like I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's not the button to like start a game. That's not the interface that a game uses. You know?
Yeah.
It's so baffling because, and then going back to the gameplay with the power-up thing, it's ostensibly something called focus, which the game never explains how to use it.
Oh, God, yeah. The only reason we know it's called focus is because I saw that in a YouTube video about this game.
It's a mode you enter where instead of it being like a free-floating camera around the player, it locks behind their back.
Right.
And you're like straight focused on one enemy that you can just kind of like pummel assault and take down.
Because it's like, it kind of slows time too?
Yeah, it kind of like, it does like a black vignette around either side of the player character.
Right.
And then so you're just dead focused on one guy and you can just take them down without risk of getting hit or anything like that.
Right.
But there's no indication as to how to activate it, when you're able to activate it. Like, this game has hidden mechanics that it doesn't explain or, like, illustrate that might be possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on me as not playing it properly, or if the game was just, it didn't trigger the events. I don't know who was at fault. Was it me or was it the game for not triggering?
You can't be at fault because you have no idea. There's no indicator from the game that you're playing it well at all. Like, You know what I mean?
Like, there's no visual indication as to, like, well, here's when you can do your counter move. Here's when here's when you should dodge away from the attack. Here's when here's when you can activate your focus. There's nothing on the screen. There's no, like, this game doesn't understand. Like, we were talking about it, like I mentioned, this game feels like it was made by someone who has played an action game
for like an hour.
Yeah, but doesn't understand what goes into it. Like, they know, okay, well, you need to have a dodge button, you need to have a light attack and a heavy attack, you need to have a grab button.
Right.
Like, if you were making a fighting game, you're like, okay, well, I know these mechanics. Here's how I know you have to put motions in to do special moves.
Right.
But they don't know the intricacies of, like, how a dodge should work or how a counterattack should work.
Yeah.
When you play an action game like Devil May Cry or like Kingdom Hearts or like Yakuza, your dodge is not so much of a mobility thing, like getting out of the way of an attack.
Yeah.
It's designed to give you invincibility frames that means you won't get hit while you're doing your dodge.
Yeah, exactly.
The Quiet Man doesn't have that.
The Quiet Man has no iframes and no way to lock on to enemies. You just kind of... I feel like they were trying to make something like a Batman, like an Arkham Asylum / Arkham Knight kind of game, where, like, you just kind of fling yourself across the screen and just beat guys up, like, a little here, a little there. You know, like the way a Batman game kind of works.
Yeah.
It feels like and obviously because, like, there's a lot of, you get a lot of feelings, like, in the plot, that it is kind of supposed to be, like, a weird, like a psychological, God, it's not Batman kind of experience.
Right.
But, so, like, you wail around, but there's no way to, like, lock onto an enemy and specifically dodge their attacks. So when you press the dodge button, you don't know which enemy attacks you're dodging.
Yeah, that's the thing, and any other game that has a dodge, your dodge is directional based.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You are, even back to fucking God Hand.
Yeah.
Your dodge, you can either do, like, if you're holding the analog stick in a direction and you press the dodge button, muscle memory, like, your basic instinct says you will dodge in that direction.
Right.
The Quiet Man's dodge is only a backstep. However, whichever direction he's facing, he will step backwards, and that's it.
But there's, like, what were you doing? I was watching you do it. It felt like every now and then you were, like, doing a sidestep, or is that just contextual?
No, that's what that is that's the game locking onto a different enemy and backstepping away from that enemy.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, so if I'm surrounded by enemies, I'm going to attack a guy that's on the right side of the screen.
Right.
But I see a guy that's attacking me from the left.
Oh, just hearing this makes me feel like I'm going insane.
Like, so if there's a guy attacking on my left, like on the left side of the screen, my instinct is to hold right and press the dodge button so I can dodge to the right.
Oh, God.
But doing that makes me lock on to the guy on my right.
Yeah.
And then backstep into the enemy who's attacking me.
Yeah. Oh,
so it
God.
doesn't... And these are instincts that are built into, like, a game since 3D was invented. That's how you dodge.
That's how you do a dodge. Like, that's just how it works. Oh, God.
You can't overcome that muscle memory in a 2.5 hour long game.
In a 2.5 hour long game where you're just kind of iffy if your attacks are making contact if their attacks are making contact. It all just kind of feels like a guess.
It also has, and it's got all the basics of a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
But no idea how to implement them, because it's clear someone's like, okay, well, you step back, and he does like a very long back step, and it's clear like you're basically another like a play like an enemy away.
Yeah, absolutely.
From your back steps. Like it's clearly like, okay, well, he steps back and the enemy will miss because he's not in range anymore.
Right.
That was their logic, but that's not really how dodges work. And like I'm focusing a lot about this because it's important. It's
important because we died so many damn times because of how unreliable the dodge is, and because there's like a follow-up attack mechanic where if you dodge fast enough, you can follow it up with like an insta-kill, right?
Right.
But if you can't dodge reliably, then you can't use your follow-up counter. Like it all just feels like you're just kind of rolling a dice and hoping it works, you know?
It's got a counter system because obviously some devs are like, your brawler has to have a counter system.
Right.
But a counter system works that the enemy takes a swing and that enemy is in a vulnerable state now because you dodged successfully. Which means counterattack right away.
Yeah, of course.
That's how it works, but not in this one, because sometimes the enemy can just whiff an attack, and then his guard goes up instantly, and there's nothing you can do.
And it's like, so some bosses taunt, and sometimes you can hit them in the middle of the taunt, and sometimes they just, like, ignore any hit you give them, like, at all. Like, they just kind of walk it off.
They just shrug it off. There are enemies that are armed with weapons. Yeah. And usually, like, okay, so here's a good example. I just came off of playing Spider-Man, which is another really good action game that also has, guess what, a lot of good dodging and counterattacking mechanics built into it. Duh, right. You're Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
So in Spider-Man, the thing with okay, guy has a weapon or like a shield or something. Oh, do your heavy attack to break that and launch them in the air to do your combo. Like the game says, here's how you deal with enemies who have weapons.
Right.
Here's how to deal with an enemy with a shield. Punch them and do a dodge underneath their legs to get underneath their shield. The game tells you, here's how to do that.
Right, yeah.
The Quiet Man offers no explanation as to how to break guards. I don't know what the game wants me to do when an enemy has their guard up besides ignore them until they lower it.
And like a heavy attack does not break the guard the way you would expect, right?
Right. No, it doesn't. They still take it. They still block it. And it's like,
God.
I only have 3 buttons to attack with. I can't do the grab out of them because they also don't get grabbed. Like, I think the grab, like, it's so easy for them to break your grab that it's almost pointless to press that button.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I don't know what the game wants me to do with these enemies.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And again, this is all on top of a system with extremely inconsistent hit detection. Like, you are just phasing through enemies left and right. You kick somebody and your foot goes out their back. Enemies will teleport right in front of you. You will stick to enemies, like, really hard. Like, you'll just zip right over to them. What else? My God, so many things.
It does this thing where if you down an enemy, but he's not, like, unconscious, if you attack 3 times, the enemy will teleport back upright to finish your combo.
Yeah.
There's no getting up animation. There's no like down attack animation.
He just teleports.
He just pops back up, and you can knock him. You can knock him for a loop again. It's bad.
Amazing.
The game wants to show off these cool finishers that are basically just Yakuza heat moves. Like the game wants to show them off. You get a cool slowdown, and the camera zooms around, and it rotates around and stuff. But it doesn't illustrate how to do them. It doesn't show you, like, what you need to do to pull these off like consistently.
It just feels like we were in the middle of a boss fight. And I think Melissa was with us when we were doing the boss fight. The three of us were all just like, what do we do? Do we lure him near a window? And then finally it was like, oh, you have to time like a dodge and an attack just right. But sometimes the dodge just won't. Sometimes you'll dodge and you'll go into slowdown and then you won't be able to follow it up.
Yeah, it won't. Like, what it wants you to do is dodge his attack, and then he'll do, like, a bob and weave instead of, like, his normal backstep, and the game will, like, slow down pretty much to a halt.
Right.
Like, it basically freezes, and it's like, now you can do your attack to open him up.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just doesn't trigger.
And then you both just end up standing there in, like, slowed down time until the counter runs out.
Yeah.
And then you just have to go back to... And basically, boss fights are just a game of waiting for them to make another big attack so you can do the dodge and then finally hit them. It's just a lot of standing around. There are literal whole sequences in that of me watching you play The Quiet Man where you just stand there.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way to deal with a boss is to just stand there.
Because your attacks won't break his guard. You can't grab him.
Right.
He automatically breaks whatever grab you have. So you just stand, you literally stand in front of him, arms down, face forward.
Yep.
Waiting for him to attack so that you can backstep and hope this time you can get him in his vulnerable state.
Yep. And that's it. That's literally how you play The Quiet Man. And that's it. There are no other mechanics. You don't even traverse levels much as the game like teleports you to a new room to fight dudes in.
Every so often, very rarely, you'll start in a room and you have to walk to the next room.
But it's really rare.
Yeah, and then enemies will be in that room and you can fight them. But
you don't really traverse a level. That's like there's the Soul 33 gang hideout where you walk around a little bit. But like when you're in like Club Moonrise, when you're fighting Tase dudes, like you are literally just teleporting from room to room. You're not walking. You're not opening doors. So there isn't even that mechanic. You don't even have the luxury of navigating an area. The game just does it for you. There's no other mechanics to The Quiet Man other than a terrible combat system.
This is something I noticed this after our first playthrough of it, our muted version of it. Right. There are no collectibles.
There are none.
There's no bonus content. There's no optional fighting. There's no like challenge mode. There's nothing.
There's nothing. There's literally nothing.
I've never seen a game so bare bones.
That's what blows my mind the most is that even again going back to the last Zabad game we played, which was Detroit. Like, God, Detroit sucks. But at least Detroit, you have, like, multiple ways of going through a chapter.
Yeah.
Like, Detroit, for all of its flaws, at least actually did kind of do multiple choices pretty well. So you would think, like, with a game like The Quiet Man, that would be a mechanic, is, like, some kind of choice-based, because it fancies itself an intellectual game.
Yeah.
And a lot of these intellectual games like to be like, you got the choice. And at least that would be another thing to do other than fight in a bad combat system and watch some god awful story cutscenes.
It just blows my mind because there's no point system. There's no combo meter.
There's no like kind of style, and I'm not asking for like a Devil May Cry style.
No, but
meter.
like even the most like bare bones game would have like, here's your combo, like so that you can have like kind of like a personal goal of like, oh, look at my combo meter. But doing pretty good.
Ben, this is an artistic game. It has a lot to say about communication beyond words, even though it's a game that you actually can't understand without words.
It's it's so baffling how I won't say empty, because you're not like walking around a big open world that means nothing, like say in No More Heroes 1.
Right.
It's
sparse.
Small.
Oh yeah, small is good too.
I can't believe how small, because for one thing, it's only 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And that's like being generous. Like a generous if you're bad at it.
I think in our second playthrough we cleared it in like maybe around 2.
Yeah, 20 minutes probably. But like if you're bad at the game, maybe 4. But because there's no way for you to get lost.
Oh no, again, there's no traversal. One, you can't go back. It's like fucking Super Mario Brothers 1. You know what I mean? Like, or Super Mario World, excuse me.
Well, yeah, you just get ratcheted. Like it's like the ratchet thing where like you pass a certain point, but you can't go back anymore.
You can't go right, or you can't go left. You can only go right in the first Mario game. And we realized as we were going through the Soul 33 hideout, we were like, oh, I can't go back. Like you literally cannot backtrack through a level.
You walk through a door and it's like, oh wait, I want to go down that other hallway. Oh,
nope.
I can't. There's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's nothing to interact with. There's no way for you to pick up an item. There's no weapon system.
Which is like the hallmark of a brawler is to be able to pick up somebody else's weapon.
You fucking look at Double Dragon or Final Fight and it's like,
right?
Yeah, you pick up a knife or a pipe. It's
you pick up a pipe. Why can't I pick up that guy's baseball bat? Why don't I have
machete?
Why don't I have some sort of like crowd mitigation ability, like a way to, because like there are points in the Quiet Man where you get mobbed and you have no way to break that mob away. Like you just kind of have to wail on one guy and then hope you get out.
And the thing about this game is that also the AI is miserable.
Oh god, and how
it is. These enemies have no thought pattern. Mm-hmm. There was no thought put into how they're going to move, how they're going to act or work or anything like that. The only challenge in this game comes from when you have to deal with those rooms where it's like, here's 5 guys at once.
Right,
and because they have no good AI, they don't know how to cooperate, into the player's advantage,
Right, like in a reasonable way.
Yeah, like you hear a lot of stories about games where it's like, oh yeah, well, in BioShock, the first bullet from an enemy will always miss.
Right, yeah.
Because it's a warning shot for the player to know that you're encountering enemies. Mm-hmm. So you hear tricks like that, and it's like, you would expect a beat 'em up like this where it's like, okay, well, if 3 guys are on you, the other ones are going to back off a little bit or get their dumbed down AI so that you're not getting completely swamped.
Nope, not the Quiet Man.
Nope, it's just everywhere at once.
Everywhere at once, yeah. Yeah, even like hard video games have some kind of mechanic like that, where they don't all just mob you, like your Bloodborns, your Devil May Cries.
Yeah.
The enemies will still kind of hang back for the sake of balance. It's not to make it easier, it's to make it more balanced and more manageable. You don't want to give a player, especially when your tool set is as terrible as it is in fucking The Quiet Man, like, you don't want to mob the player like that, because then they can't manage that situation. But nope, not in The Quiet Man.
Nope, it doesn't matter. Just here's all the enemies at once.
I don't think anybody who made The Quiet Man has actually played a beat 'em up or any kind of action game. I think they were just in a room where somebody was playing Yakuza, like, near them, and they were like, let's make a game like that. And then somebody was like, should we maybe, like, play one of these games to get an idea of what it... No, that guy is fired now. That guy who said, like, maybe we should do some research is fired now. So that's The Quiet Man. That's how The Quiet Man plays.
Why would you ever need to do research on this game that has been like a well-established genre
since basically the beginning of video games?
Yeah.
Like, what, 1986 is when Final Fight came out?
Right, yeah. Like...
like 30 years ago?
I'm just, like, in total bafflement that a game like this was made and plays like this.
And was put out by Square
Enix.
The Quiet Man was on the stage at E3. They showed The Quiet Man instead of a new trailer for the 7 remake.
They showed... I remember their E3 conference where they showed... Remember the only thing we thought of note was Dragon Quest 11?
It was Dragon Quest 11 and a FromSoft game, or was it a Platinum game? It was a Platinum game.
Platinum game, because FromSoft had the other at Sony. They had one at Sony.
Yeah, that Deracine thing.
Yeah. But
which is out. But yeah, no, they had a Platinum game, they had DQ11, and then they had The Quiet Man, which was indecipherable then, and is still indecipherable.
I just...
Yeah.
And that's not even talking about the
plot, the story, the movie.
That, I think the best thing about it is that the thing with it came out as a patch is it's called Answered, which is the version of the game with sound in it.
Right, it's a new game plus.
Yeah, that patch didn't come with anything to fix the game because we were still seeing the exact same glitches and weird visual quirks. So the first thing that happens in The Quiet Man when you get control of the character is that you're walking around in like a living room of an apartment, and like you realize that like, oh, if you bump into a wall, the character just freezes in place.
Yeah, no, he isn't like walking forward forever. You know, like, you know, if you're, like, holding, like, in any other video game, if you're walking into the wall, the feet are still moving. No, he stops mid-stride. like a statue who is running. Like a statue depicting running. This dude just stops moving. And the game isn't frozen. No. They just didn't come up with a way to illustrate this guy being stuck against a wall. Like, nope. No, we don't do that around here. We're just gonna make him sit still.
And so the first thing I did when we did the new game plus is did they fix it? They didn't.
They didn't fix anything.
Nothing.
It literally just added back the audio track and some really terrible looking subtitles.
Oh, oof.
Yeah, oof.
Like, alright. I mean, this game is fundamentally broken to play because it does not do the things that you would expect a beat-em-up to do. Even a bad beat-em-up still will hit some of these cues correctly. This was made by people who have zero experience making them or playing them.
Yeah. And then there's the story. Oh my god. Where to even okay, I know where to start.
So
the reason why you need to watch The Quiet Man, like a playthrough 1, not a new game plus, like a playthrough 1, is so that you can absorb the absolute staggering bizarreness, just the strangeness of minutes-long cutscenes that are not edited in a way that makes sense to be silent, that are silent. Like, these are normal movies shot with muted sound that run for minutes, and you have no idea what is going on.
There are so many cutscenes in this game that are just two people in a room talking.
Shot, reverse shot, talking.
And they are not gesturing in a way that you can kind of like vaguely pick up what they're talking about.
Right.
One of the first things you get is guy Dane. The main character's name is Dane, which is like the least threatening name you can imagine besides Duncan. your badass guy in his leather jacket who gets in fist fights is named Dane.
Dane. Yeah, no, the guy looks like Dane DeHaan and is pretty obviously named after Dane DeHaan. And yeah, and that makes sense because this game came out on PlayStation 4 and PC, and Dane DeHaan was what's Norman Oswald's kid's name?
Harry?
Harry? Yeah, Dane DeHaan played Harry Oswald in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and the Amazing Spider-Man was made by Sony. So that's like a 7 degrees of separation thing. But
now let's be clear on one thing. For one thing, Dane also has the Osborn problem, where he has horrible hair.
He's got awful hair.
He's got Now,
oh my god.
the ironic thing is, if this Dane had Osborne hair, it would be the fucking best thing in the world.
Yeah. God.
But instead, and we'll get into this later, he's got what you and I like to call the racist haircut.
He's got like a fucking, like a Hitler Youth or a fucking, like, Richard Scott. He's got a Richard Spencer haircut is what it is. And boy, howdy, does he own up to that haircut. Holy shit. Oof. That's a big oof for me, Chief. This whole game is just... Yikes.
It's just like... So, like, but like going back to the original point where it's like, these cutscenes are incomprehensible because they're just two guys in a room talking. One of the first ones you get is when Dane brings the suitcase into Tay, which is the black guy who is like in charge of a gang or like a mafia guy.
Yeah.
He has guys, like he has goons.
He's got what he calls his boys, so
yeah.
You know what that means.
Yeah, like he calls them soldiers in one scene, and they're all guys who wear nice 3-piece suits and stuff. But like, so he brings a briefcase in, and he's like, he gives Dane a glass of whiskey, and they're like, and then he opens the briefcase and there's cocaine in it, and it's like, they talk, and they talk,
and they just keep talking,
and they talk. And Tay pulls out his phone, and there's a plane ticket on his phone.
Yeah.
And they talk.
And there's like a threatening letter, like a ransom letter looking thing, and you're like, what? Okay. And then at one point they do sign language, but they don't like they don't even subtitle the sign language. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and the implication is that Dane is supposed to be deaf, obviously.
Right.
But the implication is that Dane can read lips. So I don't see, like, I saw this in the YouTube video that explained what focus is to me. Somebody was like, well, if you wanted it to make it so that Dane is deaf and still make it, like, marginally comprehensible and still get your point across that, yeah, being deaf in, like, society is probably pretty hard because society is not really built around you being deaf. Why not just make it that in scenes where you know Dane can read somebody's lips, there are subtitles, and then in scenes where either Dane isn't there or, like, he's got his head turned, there are no subtitles. Just make it muffled, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get, like, half the story. Because, like, obviously Dane doesn't know what's going on in those scenes. He's not paying attention or he can't read their lips.
Right.
You could just do that. But no, instead they mute all of the sound. And it is surreal. You know what I mean?
It, like, going back to, again, fundamentally broken. One of the most basic beats of storytelling, and this is in video games everywhere. And even every form of media, but like video games especially, it's your player character or your main character in a movie, but your player character, you're supposed to know more or less everything they know.
Right.
This is why you get characters who have amnesia, or a character who moves into a big city, like in Persona.
Right.
Because that way you have a chance for other characters to explain the rules of their world to the player character, and thus by extension, you.
Right.
So, Dane is our focus character. He's our player character. We should know everything he knows.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
When Dane is learning new information, we should be aware of that information. Like, that is basic video game storytelling, like you said, and the Quiet Man does not adhere to that rule whatsoever. And so what you get are just these literally surreal. I just said that, but I cannot overstate the bizarreness of having like minutes long sequences where all you hear is like like talking, you know, they're just kind of like wop 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 wop, like adults in Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
And it goes on forever. Like 20 like 10, 20 minutes of just cutscenes that aren't good. Like, they're really poorly directed, too. That's the thing. The cinematography is, like, really amateurish. Okay, so this game does this really fucking bizarre thing where it will just randomly sometimes use, like, character models, and sometimes it'll use, like, actual FMV actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And both of these are so poorly directed. Like, just the lighting is just really flat and dull, and then the models are, like...
atrocious.
Like, horrible. They look like late PS3 models on a PS4. And yeah, and then don't get me started, going back to the gameplay for a second, the game feels like a PS2 game, you know?
It's this weird thing about it is that it manages to be every generation of console in one.
All at once.
It plays like a PS2 beat 'em up, like a really, really
bad
light, like lightweight feeling PS2 beat 'em up.
Yeah.
It has the graphic fidelity of a PS3 game.
Yes.
It has the animation quality of a PS1 game. A lot of these, like, CG cutscenes,
yes.
they're so that weird, like, weightlessness, but, like, choppiness of, like, a PS1 game, where, like, the frame rate isn't quite 30.
Yeah.
Like impact, like, it's a fighting, like, it's a fight. Like, he'll get into, like, CG fights, and it's like, the punches don't land right.
There's no impact or weight.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's really bad.
The animation is, like, really choppy and janky in this unsettling kind of way.
Right.
It looks like a PS1 FMV, like you'd see in, like, Final Fantasy VII or something, you know?
Yeah, and it's... But it's on the PS4.
It's on the PS4!
It's on the PlayStation 4. It was at E3! I can't overstate this enough. The Quiet Man was at E3. They thought they had something with this piece of shit.
They put... I mean, this has Square Enix... This is Square Enix promotion on it. It is Square Enix at E3 promotion behind it.
This was on their stage. They didn't have, like, a stage. They had, like, a press conference that was horrible. Yeah. But that was in their E3 presser... was the Quiet Man, and it's awful.
It really feels like this is an indie game that you would, if it came out as an indie game, I don't think anyone would care. No one would care about the Quiet Man.
Nobody would care. No, it would fly under everybody's radar.
But it's got Square Enix money.
But the deal is that Square Enix sponsors indie games, and some of those indie, like, you know, they promote indie games and indie Kickstarters, because I get, like, a Square Enix, like, newsletter in my email sometimes, and they're like, hey, check out this indie game that we're publishing, or hey, here's a cool indie Kickstarter that we are promoting for whatever reason, and, like, those are quality Kickstarter or indie titles, and it's like... If this was an indie game that was just promoted by Square Enix, it would probably be better.
Yeah.
Than, like, an actual game that Square Enix published and put their logo on. Yeah.
Front and center.
Oh, God.
And so the story is... So what we did is we played it once.
Right.
And we're like... I don't get it.
I don't know what's going on.
We wrote down a list of things that we thought was happening in this game.
Right.
And then we were like, okay, well, when we get to the version of sound, we'll be able to figure out if we were right or wrong. So I wrote all those down, and I have them open here. So let's go down the list of what we have. So the first one, the mask is evil and possesses people, hence the birds and cult shit. That was wrong.
It's even more stupid.
Even dumber.
And, like, they don't explain the birds and cult shit at all.
No.
It just kind of is there.
Everyone just happens to know each other with no ties beyond it just being a really small world.
That was right.
That was correct. Everyone everyone with a name in this game, like, besides, like, 2 characters, have known each other for, like, 15 years, at least.
Yeah. And, like, it's just, like, a little small world where the Dominican kid who was, like, a gangster when he was a kid, he's still a gangster, and Tay is a gangster now, and they're all just one big, happy, dysfunctional family, and they all know each other for some bizarre reason. Like, whatever. God.
Tay and Singer are dating, but she's more into Dane. Which, okay, so when you wrote this one down, this is a really interesting point about the quiet version. 2 characters who are very important characters.
Yes.
We don't learn their names
we don't know
in the
their
deaf version.
Names. Yeah. Well, no, we know Tay's name.
Well, we know Tay and Dane because we see it on their phones, and we know Robert because we see it on his badge.
Right.
Lala does not get a name until the answered version.
Oh, and his mom doesn't get a name either. She's Lorraine, and we don't know her name. And I don't think we ever learned Dominican kid's name. It's Isaac, by the way.
Isaac, yeah.
We don't know his name. He's just the Hispanic gang boss leader, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, these very important, crucial characters. We don't know their names.
We just had to end up calling the main female character, like, girl or chick. Because we don't know her name. Singer, you know? She's the singer chick, but we don't know her name. Yeah. No.
Dane is just a lunatic, and he has no connections to the mask until he puts it on at the end of the game.
Well, he is just a lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of true.
That's true. He does have a connection to the mask, but he's a lunatic as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, this one.
Boy.
Dane is into Singer because mother. We
nailed it. Super nailed it.
That one. Grand slammed that one.
Goodbye. It's out of the park, baby. He basically Oh God. Remember when we were playing the game, like, toward the end, and at one point, Lala says, like, oh, I look like her. And then I went, you are her. And then a second later, Dane says, you are her. Like, oh, no. Don't say that, bro. My dude, don't say that. You don't ever tell any girl you're into that you are my mommy. You know, you can maybe, if you're smooth enough, and you've got to be like, boy, you've got to be like Dante smooth to get away with, you look like my mom. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't actually say, you're my mommy.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yikes. Oh, God. Mother. That's by the way, if you don't know, that's the best friend. That's Wooly and Pat's, like, Devil May Cry LP funsies right there. So, yeah. Next.
And then Roberts has always been the bye-bye man, which is what we call the guy in the mask, the bye-bye man.
He's the bye-bye man.
Because he's a lunatic too, which ended up being true.
But he hasn't always been the bye-bye man, but he is also a lunatic, yes.
So this whole thing, this whole game, like, it doesn't, like, the first playthrough, you're trying to piece together what is going on. Because it's about, okay, well, this singer lady gets kidnapped, and she's obviously in some kind of relationship with Tay, and Dane is kind of like a lieutenant, like he's kind of like the muscle for Tay.
He's like the enforcer kind of guy. Yeah.
They have a shared history where this Hispanic guy and Tay got in a fight, and Dane's mom got shot accidentally. And now the Dominican guy is like, Dane is gunning for him. Right. Like he wants to have like an ultimate, like you get an ultimate climax with that guy, and. You know, there's also this man in a bird mask, like a plague doctor style bird mask, right? Who is going around? He's the one who kidnaps the singer in the first place,
right?
And he has this like weird cult like, worship room.
Of the singer, yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out that it's this detective who, when Dane's mom got shot, he was the detective who was there on the scene. And, like, so everyone's kind of, like, connected in this weird way, and it's like, you kind of, like, parse, like, what the connections are just by, like, the association of who, you know, when they're talking to each other, how they act.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, I don't get, like, what were they trying to accomplish? Like, why was she kidnapped? What were they after? Like,
right, yeah.
What are the motivations of these characters? Like, there's a bit where Dane thinks the singer is killed, so he goes into, like, a fugue state and beats up Tay's guys.
Tay's men, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of, like Tay sees this as a big betrayal, and, like, you know, this big conflict arises between everyone, and you can kind of pick up what the story's about, but, like, nowhere near enough what you should be able to parse, because, again, Dane can communicate with people.
He can talk. It's not like he's he's not like mute and deaf. He can speak, and he can read lips, and he can sign. Like, he's very able to speak. And yet, even when our main character speaks, who is what we should at the very like, if you wanted to mute everybody else's dialogue and make it just be like, this is exactly what Dane hears every single day or what Dane experiences every day, cool, fine, you can do all of that. But we should at least be able to know, at the very least, what Dane is saying. Because he's the player character. Yeah. We are him, basically.
It's this kind of thing where, like, okay, if you want to make a game about a character with a disability, that's great. That's really cool. There's a really cool horror indie game.
Perception. It's really good.
Where you play as a blind woman who uses echolocation to navigate her environment. She has a cane that she taps, and it creates shockwaves and stuff. And that's a great way to, for one thing, illustrate disability in a mechanic sense.
Yes.
And also treat it with respect.
And it's also cool to use as a horror mechanic. Yeah. It's like, I gotta make noise to know where I'm going, but also, if I make noise, this monster is gonna come get me.
Yeah, so you can do that. And if you were going to make a game like a Daredevil game, for instance, who is also blind, you wouldn't put the game in pitch blackness. You would still make it so that you can see the environment normally, and then you go into, like, his radar vision mode, where, like, he can, like, see through walls and stuff. Like, there are ways to do that. And just muting the game does not emulate what a deaf person goes through.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. Like a deaf, like, the problem is that, like, if you play, like, a first run through of The Quiet Man, you have no idea how to, like, comprehend the world. But, like, deaf people do a pretty good job of comprehending and managing the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they can still communicate with people either through sign language or through lip reading or just through, like, reading, which, again...
sending phones, you have texts.
There's very little, like, actual words in this game.
Yeah, like, written words, and it's like... They're so... Oh, my God. I feel like I'm going insane the more I think about it. Like, they really just thought that muting the audio channel would be enough. They really thought that.
It's this really bad thing where it's not so much treating the audience like they're an idiot, but it's more like they're withholding information to deliberately make it a mystery.
Yeah.
But, so it's a common trope where it's like, okay, well, you're doing a mystery thing, and it's like, okay, well, here's the actual tone of events once, you know, the detective has figured out the crime. Right. Here's how it actually went down, you know, like a Phoenix Wright thing like that. But the difference between that is that, like, the information you're withholding is withheld from the characters as well as the audience, not from, like... Dane knows what's going on.
Right, yeah. We should at the very damn least know what Dane knows. Like, anything Dane doesn't know, cool, fine. We don't need to know. We can't know that because he's not, like, our audience surrogate. But, like, everything else we should know, you know?
And that's why this patch, the answered patch, is so disingenuous, you know?
Yeah, it's yeah.
You're trying to drum up. It's a Stephen Moffat thing. You're trying to drum up like
what's happening?
Yeah,
it's like a cliffhanger.
Yeah, a mystery or a cliffhanger, but it's like, well, it doesn't work that way because you are deliberately withholding the information that we needed to understand it in the first place.
Right, yeah.
And so then when you get to the answer, it does this thing where like it presents information in a way that like is literally impossible for us to have picked up on.
Oh, you mean like how Dane and how Robert is Dane's dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It tries to, and again, going back, the same thing with the mechanics, where it's like, I don't know if I'm doing this wrong or if the game is done poorly. It's the same thing where it's like, were we supposed to pick up that idea, or is that just like thrown out at us all of a sudden?
I did not pick up on that at all. There is a single flashback where somebody is beating the hell out of like little Dane. But I always assumed it was like a foster parent after his mom died, you know?
Right, yeah.
And like, especially because there was no, and even in the answered version, up until the last third of the game, there's no mention of like Dane's dad at all.
Right.
It just kind of comes out of nowhere, like, oh yeah, and your dad. And we're like, excuse me? Now he's a guy? So, Robert is like, you have no idea. There's no way to pick up on it. You think that the guy beating up on little Dane is just some rando, like a foster parent or somebody like that. And, like, and then you have no way of knowing because you never see the guy beating up. Like, you never see who it is that's beating up Dane. Like, you don't see his face, so you can't know that it's Robert, right?
Right.
Or, I don't know, is it...
I think it's
Robert
Ash,
or is it Ash Roberts?
I think it's...
No, because it's on his badge.
Okay, so it would be Ash Roberts, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ash, that's so everybody's names in this game are terrible, by the way.
They are. The singer's name is Lala.
Do you get it? I actually didn't get it for a second there, but I wasn't paying attention to that. But still, do you get it?
Yeah.
The singer's name is Lala. Do you get it? So yeah.
I will give it one thing, and you and I both were like, "Oh, that's actually pretty interesting." So there's a bit in the deaf version where it's after his mom got shot, and there's a cop sitting next to little Dane, like on a I think bench. A swing or like on a bench or something, and it's like, he's got his hand on little Dane's shoulder, and it's like, okay, well that's the
cop comforting him.
Yeah, the cop comforting the kid. The Commissioner Gordon is like, oh, don't look, don't worry, Bruce, it'll be okay, that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well and then so obviously later on you see that same cop, in the present day where it's like, okay, well so that cop has been kind of looking out for Dane this whole time. Okay, well that's pretty interesting. And then like, oh, actually he's been involved in this whole in the Quiet Man, like the mask and everything. Okay, well that's like a twist almost. Like this cop that's been looking out for him is also like wrapped up in this evil business, right?
Evil mask cult business shit. Yeah.
And then you get the actual version of that, where this cop who's just kind of sitting calmly with this kid, but he's actually like, why did you get your mom killed, you fuck up? I hate you. I want you to die.
I'll never forgive you ever for getting your mother killed. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's a pretty good twist, actually.
You did pretty good, actually. It's one of those, like, nothing is what it seems. Like, it's a really well done version of that twist. But
it falls apart later.
Oh,
for
God.
Other reasons.
Oh, God.
Like, so, like, just to, like, kind of sum up what actually happens in the game, like, when you get the audio.
Right.
It's Lala the singer is bored, I guess.
bored, and I guess technically, like, Tay kind of treats her like a bird in a cage.
Like he's kind of possessive about her.
He's possessive, she's his songbird in a cage, and so she won't let him, like, she says, like, hey, I can go to Chicago with you and find a record label, and he's like, no, you need to stay here. So it's kind of like, oh, this guy thinks he owns her, and so she wants to get out of that life.
So her plan is to fake a kidnapping.
Right.
And she hires the detective Robert to help her stage a kidnapping.
Right.
So that she can kind of escape from him. And this also leads to a he's also trying to get in conflict with Isaac, who is the Dominican guy who killed his wife all those years ago.
Right.
And so kind of like he's trying to kind of like lead Tay's group and Isaac's group into wiping each other out, basically.
Yes, because Tay is also responsible for Robert's wife getting killed as well. Yeah.
So he's kind of trying to set that up, and so he uses this whole big staged kidnapping thing, and he kind of hires Isaac's goons to cause a ruckus at the same time so that it looks like Isaac's behind it.
Right.
I guess.
Yes.
And then Dane goes to rescue her, thinking she's been legitimately kidnapped, and she decides that it wasn't real kidnapping after all.
No, wait.
And then...
oh no, it's starting to fall apart!
And then, Tay, due to what we mentioned earlier, where Dane goes nuts and attacks Tay's men, Tay thinks that Dane is the one who kidnapped Lala.
Right.
And so they fight there, and...
well, no. He beats up all of Tay's men, and then he goes to Isaac's place, and he beats up all of Isaac's place, and he beats up Isaac, and then then that building catches fire, so Isaac and all of his men burn to death. But for some reason, I guess because Roberts was working with Isaac, with Sol 33, that's Isaac's game, by the way. Since Robert was acting with them, when he kidnapped Lala, he took her to Isaac's place. So when the building catches fire, Dane and Lala escape together out of the burning building, because I also saw Spider-Man 1 directed by Sam Raimi. And they get out, and Tay is waiting for them, and Tay is, really pissed, but, won't let anybody explain what's going on, so he's gonna shoot Dane, and then Lala's like, no, it's my idea. And then he's, still really mad, obviously. And so then he decides he's gonna, I guess, kill, he's gonna take all of them, and he's gonna, kill or punish Lala, right? And then, no. He leaves Dane with Babcock, which is just a terrible name. And then Robert shows up to rescue Dane for some reason, and then they're like, let's go save this lady who looks like my dead mom. Mother. And then they go and they all fight, and then it ends in a rooftop confrontation where you fight Tay, and then oh god, it's all blurring together and I'm losing my mind. Tay at one point shoots Robert.
Yeah.
And then then Dane goes to the roof, and him and Tay fight, and then he pulls his devil trigger, and then he fights some goons and Tay again, and then he fights his dad.
Then he fights Robert because Robert puts the mask on.
And is like, we have to fight so that you can move past the quiet man. And then and then he does, and then they both fight, and it's like a draw, kinda.
And then Dane goes to jail because he murdered a whole building of people.
Right. But then he gets out within a year, probably, because he isn't any visibly older. And then his dad is there. The dad that, by the way, beat the living shit out of him when he was 8 years old.
Has been nothing but abusive and horrible to him for years.
Has constantly blamed Dane for even up until the point where they get to like Tay, like when they're driving to Tay's place.
Yeah.
He's still like, I hate you, son, because it's because of you that like my wife who I loved is dead. And even up until that point, but at the very end they're like, hey, Dad. They do a thing where they sign like dad and son, and you're supposed to be like, aw, but instead you're like, ugh.
I don't like that.
I don't like it. That's actually really horrible. And then they show a bunch of pictures of baby Dane, and it's like, happy family. And then every time you see Dane's dad, you're like, oh, right. This guy beats the shit out of... I can't state, by the way, how violent the beating is in that scene. It's not like he slapped him across the... Like, that'd still be horrible.
Yeah,
but
don't hit your kids.
Don't hit your kids at all, you animals.
Yeah.
But, like, if he slapped him across the face and was like, I hate you, go to your room, or something like that, that would be, like, a thing you could potentially forgive in 15 years.
You could work your way past that, you know?
Yeah, but this is like a violent beating where at one point he like stomps on the kid.
This is dragging by the hair. This is throwing empty beer bottles.
Yeah, it's like punching and hitting and kicking and just... Like, as soon as his mom dies, the dad is like, this is your fault, I hate you. You know?
Yeah.
To like a fucking child psychologist, he's like, no, this 8-year-old deserves to suffer for getting his mom murdered. You know?
Yeah,
like,
and same on that psychologist now being like, alright, I'm going to make a phone call.
I'm going to call CPS now, thank you. No, none of that happens. This is not, like, normal, forgivable, like, you know, this is not, like, I'm sorry I was a shitty dad. This was, I was a horrible, abusive father, and I don't even deserve to... And all he says is, I'm sorry. It's not, like a heartfelt thing.
Yeah.
It's just, like, I was a bad dad. No, you are a reprehensible person, actually.
Yeah. And even so, like, it doesn't even... It feels... Okay, so... And you and I were talking about this. This is a very Japanese thing.
Boy, where is it like, ever?
It's like... Oh, yeah, the shitty parent, like, oh, well, I forgive you, and everything's fine. And it's not like, so, like, Western media does this, too, like, you still gotta love your abuser, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But, like, this is a very specific thing, I feel like, in Japanese media, because when we were talking about it after the game was over, we brought up, notable terrible anime but still really good anime, Mirai Nikki or Future Diary, which is bad but awesome and you should probably watch it, maybe, I don't know. There's a scene where a main character who I won't name because it's a spoiler, her mom locked her in basically a dog kennel for like 2 weeks and she was on the verge of starving to death, and then a thing happens and the mom is like, I'm so sorry, honey. And then the girl is instantly like, I forgive you, Mom.
And then like the epilogue is like, happy family times.
Happy family times. Nothing wrong happens. Like, the thing is that the mom locks this daughter in a cage. And at one point, the daughter has to resort to eating the tatami flooring in their house so she won't starve to death. Like this is not a normal, this is not normal, overly aggressive parental punishment. This is like psychotic abuse, and you shouldn't be allowed to have your child afterwards, you know?
It's very interesting, because, like, this is something I actually wanted to bring up, like, at some point on the podcast, that, like, I was, like, trying to find a chance to do it, and this is a perfect chance.
Thanks, the quiet man.
That's why something like what happens in what's happened recently in My Hero Academia is like so notable,
right?
Because the big thing with that, what happened is that spoilers for the next like minute or so if you're not caught up. I mean, it was like months ago, but yeah, or if you're just an anime watcher, so skip ahead like a little bit. But like Todoroki's dad, Endeavor, like finally starts making efforts to not be a shit,
right?
But, like, they have a whole chapter where it's, like, his kids are, like, fuck you.
No, we still hate you.
Like, okay, cool, but also fuck you.
Yeah, you were still like a horrible, abusive monster.
Earn it!
Earn it, shithead!
So it's like, God damn, really? Wow, alright.
That's good.
Cool.
Or the other example we brought up when we were talking about this afterwards was Persona 5 and Futaba's Social Link.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, my friend's mom and dad were selling sexual photos of a 14-year-old girl on the internet, so she was being sexually exploited by her parents. But no, we changed her heart and they apologized and everything is fine.
And now it's fine. It's like,
no, you actually don't get to do that. You actually get to go to a foster home when something like that happens. Sorry.
Great.
And then your parents go to prison forever.
Yeah, great that they apologized, but also let's call the police.
Also, you're going to jail forever. Sorry.
So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the Persona 5 example is really bad. Because the exact same thing happens in a more realistic way in Sojiro's Confidant.
Oh, yeah!
Where the CPS agent comes to Sojiro's house to see if Futaba's really being abused. And there's that vague threat of, oh, she might get taken away.
Yeah, hey, maybe we should do that more often. The point being
is that
it's a very Japanese thing, and this game was directed by, or the main producer was Kensei Fujinaga, who has done like nothing else, by the way, and he's like a producer for this game. It's weird. It's
that super very very unearned forgiveness because the weird thing about this game is that who is the one we're supposed to root for, because everyone's kind of a manipulative shithead.
Everybody kind of sucks. At the end of it, you're almost kind of rooting for Tay.
A little bit.
Because, when the story all finally comes out, he was definitely doing, a bad, where he was acting like he owned Lala. But Lala, instead of just being like, hey, I need you to kidnap me and make me vanish, and put me in witness protection or something because you're a cop and you could probably make that happen, instead of that, it was no, kidnap me and turn your son into the Quiet Man and convince these two gangs of people to kill each other and then they'll all die and then I could finally be free. But that's really fucked up.
That's okay. So here's the thing: is that obviously something bombastic and dramatic has to happen, or else there won't be a plot. Obviously,
of course.
Right? You need to have some flash and showmanship in your thing.
Right.
The thing is, you could have just kidnapped her regularly, and that would still be enough of a thriller to get the plot going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, you know what's really dramatic? When someone just disappears.
And you can have a whole plot about, Dane beating dudes up, trying to find this girl who looks like his dead mom, and she's been kidnapped. You could have a whole plot just about that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have to have any weird racist undertones.
But okay, oh god, okay.
Oh god! Put a pin in that one?
Yeah, we'll get to that one. That multiple. But instead of hey Robert, I need to just vanish. She's like, no, you need to do a big staged kidnapping. So here's you need to write creepy stalker letters, and you need to do it in public with everyone looking, and you need to have these goons break in and start killing people randomly.
Right.
And there's just so much production that goes into it that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
What did you think, Lala, what did you think Tay would do if a man in a bird mask broke in while you were out of town and, kidnapped your girl?
Yeah.
He has men to hunt people down.
Yeah, so really at the end of the day, you're not rooting for any of these characters. Lala is manipulating everybody, Robert is manipulating everybody, and is also a huge manipulative, abusive piece of shit. Isaac is a gangster sociopath who was really eager to claim claim he murdered some kid's mom, and it's just like, yeah, I did it, gang life forever, homies, which is like an actual thing he basically says in the Flash fight. Which, boy, have any of you people ever heard people talk? Because I don't think you have. And then, like, Dane is just, like, a psychopath.
Dane is just, like, this idiot who's very easy to push.
He's super easy to manipulate.
Like,
yeah.
You get to this point where it's, like, where... You know, Tay is like you go to the club, the Club Moonlight,
scene.
Right?
Yes.
And you see Tay, and Tay's like, "Hey, man, hey, listen.
I lost my cool.
I got angry, all right, but look, you and me have been friends. We've been family for like years, all right,
like 20 years.
Like since we were kids, we've been friends. Okay, we've been cool, all right. Look, let's just forget all this." We'll start over,
we'll sit down and talk.
We'll fix this, and, we'll just work it out, We'll go back to the way things were. All cool.
Are you really gonna side with the dad that, like, beat the shit out of you? Like, literally kicked the living shit out of you when you were a kid?
You're gonna do that for him and for the woman that manipulated you and, like, faked a kidnapping?
Right.
Like,
when she obviously... Yeah.
He's even, like... that she's so, Robert even says, like, yeah, she told me, like, when you got, like, really insecure and broke down, and she told me everything you're feeling, like, the stuff you told her in confidence.
Oh my god,
like,
yeah,
you told her everything.
You spilled she told me all of your secrets, and now I'm gonna use all of that to manipulate you. Yeah, no, fuck Lala.
And here's Tay, like, man, it's cool. All right,
we can talk this out. We'll work it out. We'll be cool. You know, and then all Dane does is just like he just shrugs.
Yeah,
and
he like rolls his shoulders, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
For real, really, dude.
Like, how big is your Oedipus complex that you're throwing away all this? All this for some bitch.
For some chick who's just, like, happens to look like your dead mom. Like, God, dude.
Who exposed your balls on stream to your dad that hates you?
Yeah, no. And so you're gonna side with her and your horrible, abusive dad. Yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
Now, to be fair, against Tay, where it's like, dude, just let her go.
Dude, just let her go. That's why Tay is also not really that likable.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just let her go. She's clearly not worth the trouble.
Yeah. Shove her out the door. Find someone new.
Put her on a bus and be like, get out of town. Go to Chicago. Don't ever let me see you again.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Maybe you do go to Chicago after all, because I don't want to see you anymore.
It's that simple. You look at this chick and you're like, all right, you can pound sand, lady.
Yeah.
And that's it. Let her go. You don't have to do this whole, like, crazy psychopath thing that he's doing at the end of the game.
Right?
But yeah, but we gotta make him, like, super unlikable at the end of the game, even though Tay is the only, like, marginally likable character at the beginning of the game. Like, everybody else is just, like, a psychopath a psychopath.
You know who is the only good person in this thing?
The dead mom?
Babcock.
Babcock is a good dude. You know what? Babcock didn't deserve the shit he got, okay?
All he gets is just fucking disrespect from Dane for, like, no reason.
He shows up to, like, save Dane's stupid life. Yeah. And it's just like, I got you, man. And Dane's just like...
Dane breaks his car window.
Breaks his car window for no reason. What? Dude, why? Why?
The only thing Babcock did to Dane ever is he's like, you dress like a hobo. Get a suit.
Yeah. That's it. He's like, you look like a hobo, get a suit. Like, come on.
Like, he's like, Tay, you disrespect Tay by not dressing right. It's like he's been looking out for you.
He even says, he doesn't just say you disrespect Tay, he's like, you disrespect yourself. Like, Babcock is being a bro. He's saying, like, you can treat yourself better, my mans.
Yeah.
No. Instead he gets shit on constantly and doesn't deserve it. Justice for Babcock. He's the only good character in this godforsaken game.
Everyone else is such a fucking shit.
Everybody else is just a shit in various directions. It sucks.
And then Lala gets away with it.
Lala gets away with it.
With everything. She gets to sing again. I just don't want to sing anymore. I only want to play the piano. It's like, bitch, leave.
Bitch, go. Just
like,
go.
If you're really... You could have just left. Like,
I swear to God, she could have hopped on a fucking... I mean, Tay is a small-time club owner in fucking New York City. Get on a bus to California.
Like, okay, so what you're looking at is that, like, okay, so Tay's kind of, like, possessive. Like, he's kind of clingy with her, you know? Like, he's like, okay, well, no, I know what's best for you. But, like, there's no indication that he's, like, abusive or, like, controlling.
Not until he goes, like, kind of insane.
Until he goes apeshit, yeah. But, like, there's no indication.
But that's just bad writing.
You know, she's not like, oh, well, you know, I'm afraid he's gonna, like, do something to me or my family or something.
Right.
Where it's just like, no, he's just not letting me go on a trip to Chicago, or, oh, I don't know, I want to do something different, but he won't let me. Then leave!
Leave!
You're not beholden to him!
Get on a bus! Go to California!
He brings you flowers, he probably thinks he's being romantic, he probably thinks he's doing you right, but, like, if you're not happy, just leave.
Don't make a big production out of your fucking fake kidnapping. Just be like, I need you to kidnap me so I can go fuck off somewhere. You know? Yeah. Whatever. I hate all of these characters. Every single character. Tay, Dane, Lala, Robert. I hate them all. Except for Babcock. He's a good guy.
Except for Babcock. He tried his best, man.
He tried his best, damn it. And he just got shat on the whole time. But hey, boy, how about the fact that everybody who survives this game is white? That's a little weird, right? That's a little weird, right?
It was B on Twitter who's like, the game is about a man who's like, this Dominican guy killed my mom, so now I have to do a racism.
That's basically what it is.
Like, that's basically all this game is that, like, your primary enemy for, like, half the game is this Dominican gang of, like, 3 character models.
Yeah. And it's just really bad optics.
You're this white guy with a racist white guy haircut.
Yeah, you've got the Richard Spencer. I think you know that one really good video of Richard Spencer getting laid the fuck out at the inauguration. I think Richard Spencer has the same fucking haircut in that video.
And all you're doing is you're just beating up these Dominican guys.
And then you go beat up Tay's gang, which has got a lot of black guys in it, too. A lot of black
guys and a lot of Italian guys. So
it's just like, oh,
and
this
like
is uncomfortable.
And like you're going through the Soul 33 gang hideout, and it's like, oh, there's just random Spanish graffitied on the walls.
Yeah,
and it's like.
And they just, their buildings are just, like, disgusting.
There's, like, trash it looks like the Baker House.
It does look like the Baker House. It looks like the Baker House.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, I don't think people live like this, y'all. That's a really uncomfortable depiction. Boy. Yeah. Oh,
and it's
dear.
Like, and you get the guy where he's like, yo, gang life, gang for life, blah.
Yeah.
I did it. And it's like,
I do it again, son.
Fucking. So the thing is, you realize that, like, okay, so Tay and Isaac got in a fight over shoes.
Over a pair of Jordans. Like,
over
really?
A pair of sneakers. And then, like, Tay, like little 15-year-old Tay, like, pulls out a gun.
Oh my God.
He escalates the situation immediately.
But let's talk about, like, boy, how have you raised, clearly you, Lorraine, dead mom that you are living in a rough part of town, because there's more generic graffiti everywhere and trash. Like, how do these people, how do you people think poor people live?
But the other thing is, are they really? Because remember those family photos at the end? Like, they looked like they lived in a nice, normal house.
So then was she just, like, walking her kid down, like, the bad part of town? Like,
I don't know.
Like, let's go take a stroll down Murder Row, honey. Like, or is it just, like, a totally normal suburb with, like, a...
with, like, one street that sucks.
Like, one street that kind of sucks, and, like, Tay and Isaac are both, like A students who are just trying to be like cool gangsters, you know, and it's just like, and so like it's just like a weird, horrible coincidence, and like it's just that one really shitty street in your town that like everybody's got. It's just like that one place everybody does bad graffiti in or something. Like, I don't know, but either way, how have you raised your son to be like, oh look, there's my friend Tay. He's holding a gun. I'm gonna go say hi to him anyways. Your dad's a cop.
The thing is that scene is so dumb because it's not like they're like in the middle of struggling and like, you know, like Tay's back is to Dane, you know?
Right.
It's like Tay is in the fucking cop don't move or I'll shoot stance with his legs apart, with both hands on the gun, like facing forward. Like, he's in the stance to fire a gun at another human being.
And never once does his mom, like, try to stop him either. Like, she just kind of stands there like,
they're not doing this in, like, an alleyway or, like, you know, like, behind a corner. Like, they're, like, in the middle of the sidewalk.
Right. It's supposed to look like an alley because there's, like, graffiti and trash everywhere. But, like, it's just a bunch of fences. It's just open. It's not, like, between two buildings. It's between, like, two fenced-in yards or something.
And, like, they're walking down the sidewalk and they see this happen. And dumbass little 8-year-old Dane is like, well, hey, buddy, it's you.
And then like, idiot mom is not like, oh my god, they've got a gun. She doesn't, like, try to get her kid and, like, drag him away. She just kind of stands there like, oh, nice weather. Oh god, I've been shot.
Yeah, and then that's when Isaac, like, lunges forward and, like, gunfight, and it's like,
oh god,
it's so fucking stupid. It's so dumb because he's like, okay, fine, Isaac's like a gangbanger and he thinks he's so fucking tough.
Right.
Tay pulls a gun on him, and he's like, whatever, bro, I don't care.
I don't give a shit. You're not gonna shoot me over a parachute. Listen, maybe not. But if somebody pulled a gun on me for any reason, I'd be like, oh, cool. You know what, dude? You know what? We're good. You can have your shoes back. I was just messing with you, man.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
I don't know. But the point of all of this is that the abusive dad and the manipulative white lady get to live.
Yeah.
But, like, the, like, one guy who starts out kind of cool and then goes fucking insane, and, like, the Dominican guy, they both die. Along with all of their crew, basically.
Yeah. It's so dumb because Robert is like, you need to get revenge. On who?
I would sooner get revenge on... What happened to Dane's mom was basically just a really shitty accident. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It was... You want to get revenge on the Dominican guy who didn't do anything, or the black guy who killed your mom on accident. Like, yeah. It was so clearly an accident.
It was so obvious, but you want revenge on those two, and not on the guy who's, like, systematically, like, verbally and physically abused you for God knows how long. Like, and who, like, specifically pointed out, like, oh, you're disabled, so I can talk shit to you all of the time, as much as I want, and you won't give a shit because you won't hear me. Like... I would sooner get revenge on that guy.
Right.
Like, this game should have ended with, like, Dane being like, okay, you let Lala go, we're gonna shoot my dad, and you're gonna get some anger management classes, buddy.
Like, it's just so funny because, like, Tay presents literally the best possible scenario.
Yes!
He's like, hey... that guy beat the shit out of you. I've been looking out for you. I've had your back for years.
He says, who do you think taught you all those fancy fighting moves?
Yeah.
So the whole reason Dane can even, like, beat people up and, like, take care of himself is because Tay taught him how to fight.
Yeah.
Like...
He's got money. He's clearly got money. He's probably, like, paying for Dane's, like, housing and stuff. Like,
probably.
The two of them are sharing bottles of scotch together. They're laughing. They're having fun.
They've got like a cool like secret handshake.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's like, man, I've had your back this whole time. Everyone in this gang likes you. Like, your dad sucks ass.
Like, you literally could have just been like, okay, dude, we'll talk about it. But you gotta let Lala go, and you gotta go get some anger management classes, because you're kind of being a little crazy right now, my man.
And, like, the whole thing is, it's like, oh, well, obviously Dane is in love with Lala because they had that special moment on the balcony.
But when he gets out of prison, she isn't even there.
She's not there for him.
She's not there.
She doesn't give a shit about you, dude.
She does not give a fuck about you. She's off, like, I guess being, like, a famous singer now.
Yeah. So,
but the guy who, like, went super crazy, like, oh my god, no. Fuck this game. Fuck this.
So
and
bad.
then they have the audacity to have a fucking, like, heartfelt father-son moment after the second round of credits. Like, are you insane?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Are you being fucking real right now? Am I going insane? Am I losing my mind?
Like,
no, this is real.
And it's not even like there was literally no effort on Robert's part to, like, be a better dad throughout the entirety of the game until that
he got
last
shot.
scene.
Yeah, and no, even when he got shot, he's like, you still have to get revenge. It was like, he got shot, and he's like, take revenge. He's not like, I'm sorry I was a bad dad, and I'm dying now, and I realize I treated you horribly. No, he literally only starts apologizing when Dane beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, we were talking about that, where it's like the final thing you do is, like, it's kind of like a victory lap, where it's just like, just punch the shit out of Robert in the mask, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're like, why is he trying to, like, patch things up now? And I was like, yeah, he's probably has 5 broken ribs right now. I would try to patch things up too. Just throw that out there. Maybe it'll work this time.
Maybe it'll work. Maybe he'll stop beating me up. It's like this kid's about to kill you. Maybe you should make an effort.
Oh, he dislocated my eyeball. Hey, you know what, son? Maybe we should, like... How about you and I go have a beer? We can play we can play catch.
Do you want to go throw the old pigskin sport?
You want to go to a ball game with me, champ? You know,
we can go see the Yankees play, and then you beat the shit out of your dad more because he wants you to go see a Yankees game.
Yeah, when you're spitting out teeth, yeah, you might want to just try to de-escalate now.
Maybe, just an idea.
But like, it doesn't. God, we haven't even talked about the moment.
Oh, you mean the devil trigger? The moment I really thought I was going insane?
So like, when we're playing it on the deaf version, right?
Right.
We're like, okay, so like because like you go to the thing where like there's a creepy room with candles and like photos, and it's like, I will hear you with my blood, and it's like, okay, there's some cult shit going on here, and like maybe like. There's bits where it's like where Dane will see the guy in the mask and like he'll vanish.
He's not there.
You know?
Yeah, he's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, or like there's a bit where like he like tries to fight him and like camera cuts out and like there's no one there.
Right.
So we're like, oh, okay, well maybe the mask is like a magic thing,
or maybe it's like all in Dane's head. Or something.
Or like there's like a cult thing going on and it's like hallucinations. But then Dane gets shot twice, once in the chest and once in the back of the head. And then he gets up, and he is in, like, demon mode.
He's in, like, horrible monster man mode. Like, I literally was like, this is a devil trigger. This is a devil trigger where he's just, like, unstoppable and impossible to kill now. And all of his moves are, like, crazy takedown moves. And what? He's, like, invincible?
he's got, like, smoke trailing off of him, and his eyes are glowing, and there's, like, light trailing when he moves, and he can,
and
like...
it actually looks pretty cool. Like, it's the only part of the game that actually looks kind of cool.
Like, I would play a whole game like this. That's, like, a very, like, Legacy of Kain kind of, like, action thing. Yeah,
because it also, like, has, like, a cool, like ember particle effect coming off of him. Like, he's on fire. It's like, oh, that's actually kind of neat. Cool.
And, like, some of his takedowns are, like, pretty cool. He does, like, this cool, like, face, like, palm to the face and, like, slam down. He's kind of, like, this, like, feralness to him.
He does, like a cool, like, he kind of does, like, a boot to the face move, like Nero's got at one point, where he drop kicks him with both feet. You're like, yeah, that's cool.
It's cool. He's doing, like, flash steps and, like, ducking out of bullets and, like, zooming in.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. Yeah, when you dodge bullets, you're like, yeah.
But that's cool. And it's like...
It still plays like trash, though. It just looks cool. That's important to note.
But then you're also like, but why?
But why? Is this actually happening, or is this all in his head?
Because, like, okay, well, you can imagine, like, okay, well, there's, like, a bit where, like, in a game where, like, he gets a superpower, you know, and it's like, okay, well, that's more of a metaphorical thing, like...
Right.
He's just got, like, he got beaten up, and, like, this is his second wind, and, like, the guys are, like, seeing him as this, like, demon, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's dark on the rooftop, and, like, he's just taking guys down effortlessly. It's more of a representation that, you know, than what's really going on. But he got shot in the back of the head! And then he gets
shot in the back of the head, and Tay reacts like, what the hell is this kind of thing, you know?
Like, he gets shot...
In the back of the head.
And then does his wake up, like, ultra form. Like...
Yeah.
It's not even ambiguous. Like, if it was all in his head, it was not before getting a bullet there.
So, yeah.
It's the most confusing thing ever. Because, again, we thought, like, okay, well, maybe the mask is magic, and, like, it's kind of leading up to that. But, like... In reality, no, there is no implication that the mask is in any way magic.
It's like, so who made the mask and who made the cult? Like, if it's just like the shrine thing, if it's just Robert, like, doing the mask thing to, like, because, like, he says, like, I wanted to turn you into the quiet man so you would kill Isaac and Tay, which, again, boy, that's fucked up. He's like, I wanted to turn you into the quiet man so you could, you know, kill these guys. So, like, okay, cool, that's why you're wearing the mask. You wanted to, like, get into his head and make him be willing to become the quiet man so he can be a cool, unstoppable superhero. But why the creepy, fucked up shrine? Why the mask? Why the doll with its mouth sewn shut? Why the bird? Why the dead bird?
Yeah, why all this stuff that's, like... It's pointless theatrics, you know?
You know what it is?
What is it?
It's when Lisa's mom has breast cancer.
Oh my... Yeah!
Yeah!
That's it. It's just this weird, pointless thing.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it has no relevance to the story overall.
Yep. But it's there to make the story more dramatic, just like Lisa's mom having breast cancer.
It's someone fires a gun.
Yep.
You know, that's all it is.
Yep.
Because it doesn't... You're right, because, again, it doesn't explain anyone's motivations for anything.
No, it doesn't explain anyone's motivations. It doesn't go anywhere. It has no bearing on the plot. Like, creepy mask stuff is just somebody who wrote or directed this piece of shit was like, ooh, creepy bird dead thing imagery. We should probably have that in our games. That's it.
It's this build-up. It's the same thing where it's this multi-layered build-up that doesn't have payoff. Because the Lisa's mom thing is like, okay, well, Lisa's mom is kind of a bitch. And she's kind of like pushing her daughter to get married to this guy. And she's kind of being pushy and chubby. And like, oh, she has breast cancer. Oh, I guess because she's going to die soon, she wants to have grandkids before, she dies. Like, or she wants to, like, make sure her daughter is financially secure before she dies.
Right.
But then it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. It's, like, mentioned once and then never brought up again.
Yeah. So it's the same thing where Robert is willing to kidnap this woman. And he has a creepy cult shrine to her. So is he, like, oh... Is Robert is the quiet man, or by extension is Robert, like, obsessed with her because she looks like Lorraine? Like,
yeah.
Has he been stalking her for a while? Like, is this like...
That would be kind of interesting. Like, your piece of shit dad is still obsessed with your, like, dead mom. And yeah, that's kind of cool. But, no, it's actually just all set up.
Yeah, but, like, there's no answer. Like, is this a setup? Or is it, like, has he just been, like, doing this all along? And, like, now he can kind of utilize it for this kidnapping? But, like, it's so unclear.
Yeah.
There's no payoff. There's no
payoff. It's just somebody said, ooh, a creepy cult shrine would be spooky. Let's put it in there. And then they never did anything with it. Whoops. And that's a pretty good summary of the entirety of The Quiet Man. Yeah. Somebody thought this was gonna be cool, and so they went ahead with it. And boy, they really thought they had something cool, right?
Like, the one thing you and I kept saying the whole time was, boy, they really thought they had something here, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's just so, like I said in the beginning, it's so ridiculous how small this game is. There's, like, 8 enemy types. There's 4... Soul 33 characters, and there's 4 Tase guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same models over and over again. Like, there's that one guy you fight in the very beginning, like the first fight, who, like, he's, like, in the live-action cutscene.
Yeah, the one who says you stupid or very stupid. That guy.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if we're supposed to be just fighting that same guy over and over again.
Yeah, is the implication that it's the same guy over and over again, or are they just lazy and they just kept making the same model? Who knows? No one knows.
No, it's that the mechanics are so shallow. You have like 2 combos entirely, and then you have these mechanics that are not explained to you, so you don't really know how to use them.
Yeah.
The story is just this incomprehensible mess where you can never tell anyone's motivation, or like when you have a story where everyone's manipulating everyone, it's impossible to determine what they ultimately want because they might be lying.
Yeah, of course, that's absolutely. So it's just like a big mess. I know.
So, you know, okay, so here's the other thing I wanted to bring up, because there's another game that's like, so in beat 'em ups like Yakuza or Final Fight, the fighting is kind of an abstraction, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not, like in Final Fight or even in stuff like Uncharted, like, you're not really slaughtering hundreds of guys. Like, the plot of Final Fight is not Cody and Hagar walk down the street and guys just kind of roll up to them and they fight them.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's
there's
an
a
abstraction.
Disconnect.
Yeah,
it's non-diegetic, if you will.
Nathan Drake is not gunning down hundreds of guys that are pouring in from a temple room.
Right.
It's a gameplay abstraction to give the player some action to do.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the idea that it's the same thing with The Quiet Man, where it's like you're going to these places and there's just these guys in like green outfits that you're fighting.
Right.
But then there's that live action scene.
Oh my god.
Where Dane goes up the stairs from the subway and like 2 guys follow after him.
It's like 3 or 4 guys and they're all following after him and he's still just fighting them. So are you really telling me that like hundreds of dudes are actually just pouring out of set pieces?
But it's the other thing is that there's like civilians walking around. They see Dane like turn around and like push a guy down the stairs, and like this woman in a business suit on her phone like turns and she just like run away. Like, oh my god, what's going on? There's someone fighting.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, holy shit.
It's just like, that's one of those things where I'm like, I'm removed from the game now. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
It just feels like it is, no matter what you're doing, it just feels like the most surreal thing.
Like, every decision in this development point, I just like, why? Why do you jump back and forth between CG and live action? Why not all live action?
Why not all CG?
Why? You already built the sets. Keep filming in those sets. Hire some guys to do like some fight choreography.
Yeah.
Like, if you filmed in New York, I don't know if they, wherever they filmed it, I don't know if
I think it was on location in New York a few times because of the shots of like Dane coming out of the subway and stuff. I think that's I mean, it could be Toronto mocked up to look like New York. They do that a lot. But still, that's on location.
Yeah, even then, like, you're in a city. They're clearly filming in a city.
Yeah.
There's probably an acting studio with, like, fight choreography guys that you can hire to do some quick stunts. Doesn't have to be perfect.
But it can be nice enough. You only need to do a couple, like, simple, like, fight scenes and then transition into gameplay, and then that can be full CG. It'd be a weird cut, but it's better than this weird jumping back and forth thing, you know?
There doesn't seem to be, like, any, like, logic in when you're jumping between scenes, because, like, here's a cutscene. Here's a CG cutscene of people talking. Here's one of them fighting. Here's a live action scene of people talking. Here's one of them fighting. Like, if you were like, okay, well, people are standing in a room talking. Yeah, we'll film that one because we don't need to hire a choreographer for it.
Right.
But they do have live action fight scenes, and it's like,
I know.
Why did you design your UI in such a way that it's not comprehensible? Like, if I could tell, like, if there was, like, a guy that's like, here's what this means on your UI. Like, okay, cool, great. Now I know. I can look at the UI and understand that now.
Yeah, even if it was just inside a menu, you know?
Yeah.
But no, shut up.
This is one of the... It's very rare we play a game that we both just, like, there's, like, nothing
just despise. Yeah, you said it's the worst game you've ever played to completion. I think that's a good distinction. We've played worse video games on the Gorge.
Oh, yeah. I've, not even on the Gorge, but just, like, in life. Like, I've played way worse games than this.
We did play Catwoman, and it was worse.
We did, yeah. We didn't finish it. Like, I've played Vex. I've played fucking Primal, and those are
Sonic
both games
06.
Sonic 06, yeah. This game does nothing right. This game feels like it was made by people who don't know what video games are.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah,
what was it you said where you were like, this game feels like a fake video game?
It feels like the video game you'd see playing on a TV in a movie.
Yeah, like that's...
You know?
That's it. Or it's like, we need to go into the video game.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing.
an episode of Reboot, you would go into, like, The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
Or it feels like somebody's tech demo to, like, show off the tech, but the tech is really bad, you know?
This game, The Quiet Man, is a game where if it's like, this was a one-man dev team, and he hired his friends to film this whole thing, and he paid for the sets and the costumes and all that. Cool,
good for you. It still sucks, but good for you.
This is a pretty impressive thing for, like, a low-budget indie studio.
No.
This is published by Square Enix.
Yeah.
And it's developed by Human Head, which have done other games.
They have done head games. Hold on. They did the first Prey, which was fine. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was a functioning video game. Oh crap, I meant to click your wiki page, not their actual website. Like, their Prey 2 got canceled. But yeah, no, they did Prey. They did the Wii U port of Batman, and it works, you know, like they have made functioning video games before, and for some reason, this one just, and I think the weirdest thing is that it was written by Man of Action. Yeah.
Who do some pretty good cartoons. Like, they did the original Ben 10. They do,
I know.
They're not, it's not like a weird, incompetent studio. These are, like, professionals making this game.
And yet somehow. Okay. We have to stop.
I highly recommend anyone finds this, because it's very rare to get, like, a game that's laughably bad. Like, this is This is on par with Sonic 06 in that, oh my god, how could they push this out and think it was good?
It is definitely, like, it is so bad it's good, you know? Like, spend a night and watch it with some friends.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised the best friends have not played this, because this seems like right up their fucking alley.
You can only hope, right? All three, like, let all three of them play it together and lose their minds, you know what I mean? Like, please.
It's just
bad.
Like, I hated playing it, but I don't regret playing it, because
But God, at what cost? God.
Wow. This is a testament.
Bad.
This is a testament to everything wrong you can do in a video game.
But you should still watch it, because the badness is kind of fun. Just don't play it, because playing it is misery. No. Just don't play it. It's miserable. I was watching Ben play it, and I was getting angry for him in a few places. I was, like, getting mad for your sake. I'm like, this is bullshit! And I'm not even the one holding the controller, you know? I'm just this sucks.
It's like, I'll get, because, like, there's, like, these big fights that are, like, 10 minutes long, where it's just, guy after guy after guy, and it's like, fuck, I failed. And then you do restart it, and it's like, I got hit by a bat twice, I died.
Yeah. Yeah, even, like, the health system feels, like, very inconsistent, so,
and then, fuck. How about that fucking, like, game over transition thing? How's that
where he just kind of, like, kneels, and then you have to deal with his fucking mom?
Yeah, they do the thing where it's, like, he's fading away, and he can see his mom, and, like, she's, like, whispering to him or something,
making funny faces at
him.
Yeah,
but like sometimes you get ones where it's like she's like crossing her eyes or sticking her tongue out at you, and I'm like, fuck you, game.
I hate this woman's face at this point, because I had to see it so often, because this game is non-functional.
And it's like, okay, well, the first time it's like, okay, well, fine, whatever. That's like I get it. There's it's thematically appropriate to like, oh yeah, okay, he sees his mom as he fades off, you know,
whatever.
But then, like, you don't put the funny ones in your game like that. That doesn't feel good.
Because it kind of feels like you're being mocked.
Yeah, and not, like, in a fun way, like in Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, you just feel like you're being mocked for dying at that point. And you're like, after a certain point, you get really irrationally angry at this chick's face. Yep. Yeah, so, that's fine. So you should you should definitely watch The Quiet Man. Please watch The Quiet Man and come talk to us about it on Twitter.
Go watch a video of the shush boy.
The hush lad.
Yeah. The silenced child.
The taciturn fellow.
Oh my god.
You can't top that one. It sucks.
No, here's what I got one for you.
Oh boy.
The No Doubt Man.
What?
Don't speak.
Oh, shut up! Oh, shut up! We're done! Podcast is over! Forever! We're not coming back!
I was just, like, thinking about that, and I'm, like, in my head, I'm like, don't speak! I know what. I'm like, oh, shut up! That's perfect!
Shut up! We're done! Podcast is over! Say the ending shit, Ben. We're done.
All right, that'll do it. All right, so thank you for Mr. Future about background music. We should have no background music in this one. No, I'll put background music in this one.
No. Use the shitty royalty-free background music that the second playthrough of The Quiet Man uses.
Thanks for Mr. Future background music. You can follow us on Twitter at The Gorge Podcast. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to hear things, because podcasts are an audio medium, you can listen to Sarah's other podcasts.
That was the most low-effort one of all of them. You suck! Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games together. Right now, we're playing Blades in the Dark. It's a cool, stealth-oriented system about heists and doing a big murder sometimes. Come check us out. We're on Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks.
All right, that'll do it for us. Wait. Specifically
Fuck Kensei Fujinaga. That's the producer of this game. Fuck you in particular, my mans.
No, fuck that thing where it's like dreamed and developed by.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Fuck
it says dreamed and developed by Kensei Fujinaga. Fuck you for that specifically, you pretentious douchebag. God. Whatever. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.